of a Jesus girl. Jesus girl. Hey, it's the diary of a Jesus girl. Let the wings of the Spirit of the Lord just swirl. You are in it, but you know you're not a part of this world. And for the swine, you should never cast your pearl. Yes, it's just the diary of a Jesus girl. The diary of a Jesus girl. Welcome to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, where we discuss real-life issues of the committed Christian woman. This podcast will inspire you to love Jesus and impact lives like Jesus. And now it's time for your host, Crystal Day, award-winning author, speaker, and Christian coach.
So welcome everyone to another episode of the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, where we discuss real-life issues of the committed Christian person. So I normally say woman, but we're having a couple up this week, and I want you to send it to some of the males that send it to just persons, because I really do believe that you will enjoy today's conversation. So as you know, we have been doing couple up for a few months, and our couple up is where I interview persons, Christian couples that will share their journey, and they will, just give us advice on how to navigate, just life as Christians, but also when we do get married, how can we truly, have a marriage that is bringing God glory and honor. So I'm excited because I have my dear friend in the house, Miss Minister Chanieka Laing. Welcome, my darling.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you doing?
I'm good. And we have Reverend Musa in the house, right? Hi, Pastor.
Blessings. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So listen, this couple, what can I say, right? Outside of quite a few of my friends are big fans of theirs. And, even my household, in my household, they're my sister's oh my God, I can't wait to hear the episode, right? Because, we have visited their churches and been a part of, their ministry. And I really do believe that God is doing a mighty work in and through them, and it's really an honor to have you guys here for a couple up. And I already booked Pastor for a one-on-one podcast, so y'all will be hearing him in June for a one-on-one, right? But welcome again to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast.
Thank you. Bless you. Bless you.
All right, so just to tell you guys a little bit about them. They are the pastors of Victory Family Center here in Jamaica. They have been married for 9 years with 3 amazing children. Also Minister Chanieka Laing, she is the founder of Virtuous Kingdom Women, and they meet Wednesdays for their weekly discipleship program. So if you are interested for a weekly accountability program, I definitely, as women, I would recommend that, definitely follow her on Instagram and connect with that ministry, right? But I want to jump in because I've heard Pastor's story before, and I'm looking forward to hearing it in detail. So Pastor, we normally start the podcast with your conversion story. How did you come to Christ? Tell us how, tell us what was life like before Christ, growing up, what was that like? And then how did you come to Christ?
Oh, I always put it like this. It is I had a very colorful upbringing. My father was a Muslim and my mother was an unsaved individual. But it was very strange having a Muslim father and an unsaved mother. Church was still a part of our lives. I just growing up now, looking back at it, I didn't understand it. Why would they do that? Because my father would have get up in the morning and read the Quran to my younger brother and I, and show us prayers. He had a Quran and he also had a prayer book, and he would have shown us the different posture that you take in praying. I can't tell you I remember any of the prayers, but I remember early in the morning doing that. And then on Sunday morning come, you have to go to church. Or if you didn't want to go, you had to go to church. My father didn't have a strong Islamic support system in Jamaica. So he became a Muslim when he was in the United States. He lived in the United States for years, maybe 40 plus years lived in the United States. And he just decided to come back home and met my mother. I came in the picture. So he didn't have a strong, the Muslim community was not that strong here in Jamaica then. So we know Jamaica, outside of Christianity, Rastafarian is the most dominant thing. And my father was moved to the Rastafarian faith. And so now I grew up in an unsaved Muslim Rastafarian household. And with the Rastafarian movement, I became more rebellious against going to church. Never liked church at all. There was a church right across from my house that was destroyed in Gilbert. And, I used to just say, big up Gilbert, and destroy the Babylonian place. That's how we used to call church. We used to burn pastors. Never liked them. Even when I went to church, I never liked going. So when I'm just coming a little bit older, I got here pretty young. But, at going into 10, 11, you had a little more option to make choices. So what I used to do on Sunday mornings just to escape not going to church, my father and his friends used to plant ganja up in the hill, or marijuana for those who don't know the term ganja, up in the hills of Portland. So I used to just go with them 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, so I don't have to go to church. So I went to help my father and the marijuana field. My mother then, the church across from me, a pastor, Pastor Bernie says, God bless her. The Lord, so she said the Lord speak to her to rebuild the church. And so she came and started rebuilding the church. And it so happened that our house is like one of the closest house to the church. So we'd have given them electricity for the brethren to have their tools to do their work. And my mother is a good cook, so my mother in return became the cook on the site. And interacting with the pastors, my mother got saved. And so now I am living in a Christian Rastafarian Islamic household. I'm living in it. But for some reason, the Christianity began to dominate because my father used to get up with us early in the morning to read the Quran about 5 o'clock. But then because he became a Rasta, that was not happening anymore. So it was now my mother, who was not a good reader either. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, my household, we get up very like 4. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, my mother will have the Bible out there reading to us. And sometimes my father will join us. And my mother, she keep on inviting me to church. Didn't want to go because at this point, I would have snuck away my father to go to the ganja fields in the morning, not to go to church. And she keep pestering me, come church, come church, come church. But you love your mother, you love your mother. I think every man there's a space inside of your heart for your mother. And I decided, you know what, let me just go to get her off my back. And I remember I went to church that Sunday morning and I brought a book and a pencil and I think a pen, and I sat at the very last bench at the back. And because I was not interested in anything that they had to say, I was just going to please my mother. That was it. And I remember I was drawing the pastor's wife hat. She had a big broad hat. And I was drawing the hat. I was actually drawing my pastor's wife. My pastor was a female. Our husband was preaching that day. But I was drawing her hat, and he said, turn your Bible to St. John chapter 3. I don't know why I heard him, because I was not interested. I remember he asked persons to stand for the reading of the word. I didn't stand up, because I was drawing. And he was reading St. John 3. And Lady Crystal, I don't know why I was hearing him, but when he got to verse 7 of St. John 3, verse 7, it says, Marvel not, I said unto thee, he must be born again. The best way I can explain it, and this is the best way I've ever explained it, is like you watching one of your favorite movie and somebody call you and you don't want to miss a part of it and you hit pause. My life went pause. After he said that verse, I could see his mouth moving, but I couldn't hear anything else. That was just repeated in my head. And then and there, I just know that, look here, this Jesus thing real, So in my head, there was a image in my head of my friends who I went to school who were Christians. They were just going to this place. It's so beautiful, and I don't think beautiful is a good way to explain how it looked. But where I was going was dark and was very scary. And I remember for about 45 minutes, put my head between my thighs, and for the entire service, I was just saying, yes, Jesus. Yes, Jesus. Just repeatedly. And when the pastor finished preaching, he asked, anybody want to get saved? And I went up to the altar and gave my heart to the Lord. And I can say it has been the best 21 years of my life. If I should relive it, I would give my heart to God from the moment I was born. If I could just have a conscious of it, I would do that. Yes, so pretty much that's it. Hated church. And God has a funny sense of humor that I hated church, dislike pastors, and today it's like I can't believe about any of them.
I know, right? Joke is on you, Pastor. Joke is on you. Right. Just give us an idea about what age this happened.
11, going on towards 12. This February, oh Lord. It's the beginning of February. I know I got baptized on the 24th of February. This is the year 2000. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I didn't get saved because I said, God, we'll come back to but I got saved in February.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So, Lady Laing, what about you? What was your conversion story like? How did you come to Christ? You're born at church. What was your conversion like?
My conversion, so to speak, is somewhat sketchy to some extent. My mom, I was the last one for my mom, so I was the child that was not planned for, because my mom did as we would have said in Jamaica, a tie off, a knot tube. So after my brother, so it was after my brother that I was born, and it came as a surprise to her. And so, I, being conscious, I've always been one of God-fearing, even as a child. I don't know, my mom said I was born at home, but with an identity of a cross on my forehead when I was born. And when I got to the hospital, the nurse looked at her and said that I would be an end-time prophet to the nations. That was before all of that, because it was a Christian nurse. So, but more and more, just growing up, I remember before even I could even say, all right, then this was who I am, I would be standing on my grandmother's cylinder and preaching, repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. Or I would be saying, don't take the mark of the beast, or something to that effect. And then one Sunday morning, my mom said she was going. By this time, my mom would have gotten saved. So when I was born, my mom wasn't saved. But when I came, like about 5 or 6, my mom got saved. And so one morning she got up, Sunday morning, baptism. And so she said she's going. So I said, may I come with you? I'm coming with you. And so I went with her. And that morning, at the age of about 10, I went into the water and I got baptized. But the story got interesting after that. Because the first Sunday, it was all right. The second Sunday, I was dancing to Beanie Man. I was whining to Bounty Killer. So it was like that. And so by I can say my true conversion, however, my encounter with the Lord came when I was 16 and then 21. So that, but in between the questions, I'll be able to tell you all about that true conversion.
All right, so because today we're talking about couple up, we're going to invite you again so you can tell us, because we know you're the woman that talk about the heart issue and the soul, issues and all, right? But we are in couple up. So here's where we want to start. How did you guys meet? Now, I feel like every time I ask this question, the men and like the couple always have two different versions, right? But I'm going to go with Pastor's version first. So go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my side of the story. Wow. It would have started 2009. I think it should be 2009, 8. Well, I grew up in Bush. Bush plus Bush multiply Bush equal Bush. Um, and my brother, 10, my brother, we were just introduced to Facebook. And so my brother didn't have an email address. So he woke me up in the middle of the night, asking me for my email address. So I gave it to him. When I woke up in the morning, he's telling me about Facebook because I have two older siblings living in the United States that we can connect with them through the social media platforms. So I'm excited. I'm trying to sign up for Facebook and I cannot because my email is already used. So I asked him about it. So he felt bad. He said to me, there's a site by the name of Tag. Well, for all those who are listening, please don't find out what Tag is. Tag is not what it used to be anymore. So just go on it. All right?
I'm laughing because I was like a big tag person before Christ.
Yes. So he told me about it. You can meet persons there and whatever. So I wasn't looking for meeting any like girlfriend or whatever, just to meet people outside of my bush. All right. Now we are just got a little internet thing. So we're excited about that. And I went and tagged and I'm going through it, but I'm reading because I'm a Christian, safe. And I'm going through the listing. I have to read the people profile. And I saw my wife. It says below that she's a Christian. So I sent a friend request. And she responded and to the friend request. And I think she said hi. And I said hello.
You said hello.
And we never talk again. We never talk. It's my story.
All right.
Work something.
No, yeah. That looks funny for you.
Yes, please. It's his story.
Yes, in other words, we didn't talk again. That was it. We didn't say anything again to each other. It was a hi and hello. That was it. About a year later, I was going to the Assemblies of God Bible College at this time, which my wife was a pastor then. My wife would have come down to the college having a challenging time to be one of our friends for the weekend with her friend. But I was away at a funeral for a relative of mine back in Portland. Somebody apparently told her that there's a young guy on the campus that him love God, that him have a connection with God, and in prayer and God talked to him that she should let the guy pray for her. But I wasn't there. So I came back on the Sunday. The Sunday I came back, we had a street meeting. She was still there. So, when I go to street meetings, it's hard for me to stay one place because I'm praying. I'm walking and praying. So my wife told me every time she came beside me, I would have walked away. She said to me, I have to say, me tell the story. That she wondered if I was picking up her sins every time. But I didn't even see her. I was just walking and praying. After I prayed for the pastors, everybody, she said she couldn't wait until she left. I went back to the campus. I went back to the campus and I had some snacks, potato chips and stuff, and I was giving them out to the guys in the campus. And she went to one of my schoolmates and said to him, can I have some of yours? And he was like, no. And I said to her, I have more. I can give you one. And she's like, no, I want some of his. And lady, she just walked over to me and she just said, my youth, I want to pray for me, That's what she said, my youth. I go want to pray for me. And I said, okay, no problem. We went into the chapel and we were praying, and she was asking me to pray about a guy that she was talking with, if he was her husband. And I'm there praying. And the only thing I heard the Lord said after I finished praying, just tell her, when you see him, you will know him. That was the only thing I heard. And then for some strange reason, I don't really talk to people that much. People don't know a lot about me that much. You have to be really close to know about me. We sat and spoke for almost 2 hours. And I'm telling this young lady my entire life. And like every 5 minutes, I would stop and say, why am I doing this? I don't do this. And we exchanged phone numbers. I followed her back to the dormitory where she was staying. I went back to my dorm. Never spoke again. About 2 weeks later, she called me on the phone, and I answered her. I called her by name, and she said, "Do you remember me?" I said, "Yes." Why? a holy man of God like you. You remember somebody like me, and I prayed with her, and from then we just have been praying for each other, and from praying for each other we became friends to best friends. Now I'm like, we spoke every day, every night. We were just talking. I think our relationship was just ended at the time. I was still in a relationship, so it was not like we had any relationship. We were just good friends. Then my relationship fell apart. Yeah.
To say the least.
My relationship that I was in for 5 years fell apart. My partner was not faithful. Let me leave it at that. In Jamaica terminology, I got bored. And she was the person I could talk to. She was my best friend. Like, this is the person I could talk to and relate to. Matter of fact, she was even encouraging me to work things out, but God had told me, no, this is not it. And one night, ending the phone call, the words "I love you" came out of my mouth, and I tried to catch them back. Was not successful in catching them back. She asked me, and I confessed to her, I feel this way, and she told me, kind of feel it, but we were both afraid because we just came out of our relationship. So pretty much that's how we met. So we entered a relationship. Anything else you want to hear?
No. Mrs. Laing, please tell us your side of the story.
The true side of the story, right?
Your side of the story.
Your side of the story, so we can jump
in. Matthew saw Jesus in one light. Peter
saw
your side of the story. That's my side of the story. It doesn't make it incorrect. Go ahead.
Good. My side of the story.
Tell them how hot I look and handsome.
All right, my side of the story is this. Being rejected by church, going through family drama, going through a lot of things. I was going to look for a young man that God had literally told me that we could not be in a relationship, but we were pushing the relationship, but that fell through. So in me going to look for the young man, I was, however, going to stay by my friend's place, which happens to be on campus. And so I went down and going through all turmoil, have no self-esteem, in identity crisis. Crystal, I was messed up. I mean, like, how am I still here serving the Lord is a miracle in of itself. So I was really messed up. I was broken. I didn't trust anybody as far as I could throw them. I could not love anybody because I could not love me. And so when I went on by the college, a friend of mine was like, hey, we have a new student. It's apparent that he went down in the January. So he was just there, and we met at month end of January, the same month end that we found out recently that we got married. So it was just God doing a full circle. We didn't even realize that it was month end that we met. But we met. The tag story now, I was playing a Christian, so to speak, because I grew up in a church and all of that. But when he reached out to me on tag, he was like, you're a Christian? I was like, yeah, I'm a Christian. But we did not remember anything about that. So he's talking like, it was on tag first. He might go on the tag account. Go on the tag account for me, because it's gonna prove.
Well, it still exists.
So he I know it sounds like I'm all over the place, but on the tag story, it was after we met and started developing a friendship. I found out that he and I saw a picture of him on Facebook when we became friends on Facebook. I said, hold on, this picture look familiar. This picture look like somebody may meet on tag. And when I went over to tag, it was actually him. And I was like, yo. And I said to him, yo, you know, so me, you're a friend from tag? And he was like, no, you're joking. I'm like, no, seriously. You know, we met on October 8th on tag.
Yes.
The reason, no, but I'll pop my shoulder. Leave me, let me tell my story.
Calendar.
The reason why I remember, because it was my cousin's birthday. But back to how we met at the college now. It was, so my friend was saying to me, listen, you know, there's this young man, I know you're going through a lot, let him pray for you, because obviously you're not hearing anything from God. It was one of those moments where you're not hearing nothing from God, but it feel like all of the walls are closing in. And so I was like, God, I can't do this no more. I was struggling with suicidal thoughts. I was struggling with, as I said, my identity. I was struggling with low self-esteem. So I was at the place, I felt like a write-off car, so to speak. And then I saw him the Sunday night. We were on the parking lot. They were doing outdoor meeting, and I went to stand beside. Each time I tried to approach him, he was walking away. So each time I tried to approach him, he was walking. And I was like, yo, this dude, yo, is it that he is picking up that I am a sinner or what? You know, and so we went up by the college. I remember I was in this blue long skirt. And my husband loves women in long flowy skirt. I did not know that until after, right? So it was good that night I looked saved.
Just to make it clear, long flow skirt don't catch me anymore. She catch me already.
You're already caught. You're already caught. Yes.
And so, you know, I was troubling my friend, and I was saying to him, hey, give me some of your snack, because he brought up a snack and gave my friend. So my friend was like, yo, no, me not share with you. And I'm like, yo, give me some of your snack. Me not ask you again. I want it. You know, and he was so sweet. He was like, you know, you don't have to fight him for it. You know, I can go and get one for you. I said, no, I want some of him. And then I walked away, and then I come back and I said to him, yo, my youth, I'm going to pray for me still, you know. And he was like, okay, let me finish my snack, and then we can go into the chapel. I said, all right, fine, no problem. So yeah, I came off as the bully, right? In his version, according to him, I was looking him. Now, people of God, let's be honest. If you had seen Pastor Laing, then
what are you?
He needed a lot of he needed a lot of work. Listen, all you could see was the big ears,
Yeah.
right? And he was super black.
Yes.
I guess some of my brownies start rub off on him, so he kind of start look, you know, somewhat.
Don't take credit for what the glory of the Lord is doing.
Listen, as Jamaican would have said, ugly picnic grow pretty for true. Pastor Laing is the perfect example of that.
let me go ahead.
And so,
You know you got to repeat for that. So
no, I don't. You want me to give the example of the youth meeting night?
Go ahead and see.
All right. So the night though, so we went into the chapel, and I went to the Lord, and I said to him, I said, I want you to ask the Lord if this young man is my husband. This is after the Lord told me, no, already, you know. But you know, some of we just stubborn, and we just stick at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, show it. No, show it. No, show it.
And just reminding you that the viewers won't be able to see.
Yes.
So yes, but
but Lady Crystal can able to verify. No, send it, Lady Crystal.
I'll put it on my Instagram story.
Yes, thank you. What do you see? You see?
I blocked it.
All right.
Yeah.
So he was of the view that, so we were in there praying. He was praying for if the young man was my husband, and then the Lord came with another puzzle. When you see your husband, you will know him. And I'm like, God, another puzzle again? I can't deal with another puzzle. And so we sat down and we started talking. We just started sharing. And he was talking more. And he found that strange because, as he said, he kept on saying, I don't know why I keep on telling you my life. I don't know why why I'm sharing these things with you, because I don't normally talk to people. But then we left, I left, went back, came back to St. Thomas, and he was left back in Manchester. And 2 weeks after, I called him and I said, hey, Brother Laing. And he was like, because that time it was Brother Laing, you know. He was like, hey, what's up? And I said, you remember me, the brown young lady? And he said, yeah, man. And he said, yeah, man, you know, Chanieka. And I'm like, yeah, Chanieka. And I said, may I pray for me again? So first we started out as prayer partner. And then, you know, he kept praying me through deliverance, praying me, standing with me as a friend. And then I realized that we started developing feelings for each other. But no, Crystal, after you've been slapped so many times, you know, failed relationship, church people breathing down your neck. I'm not talking about kingdom people, I'm talking about church people. Breathing down your neck. I was just consumed at this point with Jesus. I never didn't want nobody, because I was now on my recommitment with the Lord. So I never didn't want. By the time I met him, I never didn't want him, right? I never didn't look for a relationship. I just wanted somebody to help pray me out of where I was. And so the more we interacted and the more we developed a prior partnership and then a friendship, we realized that we started liking each other. And after we started liking each other, we were afraid because he was getting bond plus tax, and it wasn't even Easter. But then again, it was around Easter time. Around Easter time, so it was appropriate, right? So he was getting, the young lady was unfaithful. And so one night, let me tell this part because you know I'll tell it straight. One night, he realized that he started liking me. Yeah. And another young lady at the school dreamt that.
Yo, me a hot boy. Say it like that.
dreamt that, you know, she was in a relationship with him. And so he tell her, I said, listen, you will be a nice young lady. And, you know, but I am not the one for you. So him now be bombarded, and he's a one burner. So him being bombarded with so many attention, he run to the only place that he know where was to God. And he said, yo, God, me never sign up for this. Me never sign up for this. Me can't deal with the whole, you know, my girlfriend, when we put the relationship, when we put on pause, and now I'm developing feelings for Chanieka, and now this young lady come to me, you know, some of my feelings, so that's why she never give no breakfast to follow him. Can you turn on the girl? But, you know, and in that moment, he was in prayer meeting, and in that moment, the Lord said to him, the next person who call you is not your wife. And in about a minute, the phone was ringing, and it was the next young lady. And the young lady said, he opened the phone, and she heard the praying, and so she knew that prayer meeting was going on. And after prayer meeting, they had a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to get that?
Yes.
Okay. Well. I told her we're from months we were saying we were arguing. I didn't grow. I don't know how to cuss. I don't know how to that.
You can't deal with conflict.
I keep malice. I don't know. So you know my parents is like only 2 times I've ever seen that. But this young lady and I on the phone we start arguing, and I'm like, this is not good. So I keep saying to her, let's ask the Lord, you know, what he's saying. But I was afraid to ask God because I didn't want God to tell me no. Because in the eyes of church, we look good. She's sing and me preach, we look good couple. And my mother love her, father love everything. And so the night I just said to her, you know what, I don't think this is going to work, you know, because we keep on arguing. It doesn't make sense that everybody's happy for us, but you and they are not happy. Let us just remain as friends because this relationship. And then she opened up to me, you know, that for like last 2 years, she was seeing another minister, a young youth pastor because she was studying at the Teachers College in Montego Bay, that she down there. yeah, there was the next man down there,
For sure.
I'm quite fine, I said to her, I felt hurt because, there's so much time I could have been unfaithful. So much time. And I said, no,
So you never had that
that's not
confidence
me.
yet.
That's not me. And I remember I told her, I said, look here, so when you get married, invite me so we can come big up yourself and go enjoy your life. That was it. She told her only for life still. That was even one point that my parents thought wrong of me, that believe her for your next woman, but that was never the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and so after that instances, about a month after, both of us praying through and continue because we still had the friendship, was afraid to take that step into a relationship. And then about a month after, he said that I love you, and then we dedicated our relationship to the Lord about 2 nights after that, and the rest has been, well, an interesting history.
All right. All right. So thanks for that in depth. We feel like we're knowing a long time. So we're gonna jump into the questions, right? And I think I wanna ask this question. Probably Pastor, but any of you can respond. But because you said I love you first, I want to ask. In a society where a lot of times, deep loss can be, think of or thought of as love. At what point did you know that, oh, I love this woman and I want to spend the rest of my life with her? And also, is there any tips that you can give us to help us to be able to discern the difference?
What point? She was not straying me from God. It was not. Our friendship was not one that we discussed things outside of God. Much as my wife said that, I was helping and praying her through, her presence being there was an encouragement to me to get closer to God. So what I found out that it was right. It was somebody that I feel I couldn't do without. I need outside of God. Outside of God, I know that I just need. Once me hear her voice, my good. My day could be, yes, Mrs. Laing, burst the bubble and come down now. All right. Once, if I have a rough day, tough time at college, once me hear, it's just I feel motivated to just to continue. It was right. It was right. We prayed. We studied the Bible together. It was nothing outside of God. It was really pure relationship that we had. At what point? Well, the I love you part of it come out of my mouth. Why I mean, it come out enough. It just come out. It's not that I intentionally wanted to say it, but it come out. It just felt correct. It felt pure in the eyes of God. One of the things I'll say to someone when you're looking at this from an angle, because as you said earlier, lust can really do astray a lot. Check your motive, why you're going to say what you're saying. And to be honest with you, about my wife or my friend at the time, it had nothing to do with her body, because the truth, I was not sexually attracted to her. I didn't have any sexual thoughts or anything towards her. This person just feel right, like God was saying, thumbs up. My spirit felt pure towards it. There is something a minister at church was preaching, and she said something that has blew my mind. And looking back now, I think I would have agreed with her. She said, don't marry for love, marry for purpose. Because, and one of the things I say about that, because we express our love every day, but the truth of the fact is we are still learning love. We don't fully understand this love thing yet. On February 14, I was preaching at a pastor's and his wife anniversary service, and I asked the church, I said, who's in love with God? Like, who is really, really love God? And everybody put up their hand. And I said to them, well, maybe you don't want to hear from me, the preacher, because I'm learning to love him. Because when you read what 1 Corinthians 13:7 says, when you give here all things, hope all things. No, I'm going to be honest. I'm still learning this love thing But it got to a place because one of my lecturers gave me a definition for love. And he says, is willing to be identified with someone or something, doesn't matter what the cost. And at that point in time, I was hearing stuff about Chanieka. Because, people in my college were saying awesome stuff, but I didn't care. I never cared what nobody would think. I didn't care if anybody would look down on me because of her past. And so I just think that was love, like real love,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like unconditional, like there's no conditions, similar to the love of God. Like, yeah, I see you do all these things, I know you do all these things, but it doesn't change, how. Okay. I want to get into, and both of you, recently, you were interviewed on the Millennial Woman panel, and I remember, Pastor, you had spoken about you being in ministry basically full time, from you left Bible school, now you are you have this desire to get married, and things were just hard financially, and at one point she was the person that was the main breadwinner. So I want you guys to take us through this that season for us, and here's why. Just a little, because the truth is, especially in our society now, a lot of women are making far more money than men, and I've seen, it has become common where a woman of God feels like if this man doesn't already have a car, I have a car, I have a house, I have my degree, and if this man is not coming with what I already have, then no, man, I'm not even going to entertain him, right? So you have that is out there. Also, of course, we are being told, boy, as a man, as a provider, and if him can't provide for you, then how he's going to take care of a family. And so these are the things that we are being bombarded with. And then you have people like me, we're just like, man spend their money for me. So I'm like, so what, if him can. So, I mean, these are the messages that's being bombarded. So talk us through that season for you, and to get to where you guys are both full-time and just learning to trust God. So I want to hear from both of you.
Well, first and foremost, this wife of mine is a crazy woman, and not crazy in a bad way, according to society, because she pretty married a guy with nothing. Didn't have a good education, didn't have a job, didn't have a bank account. I had a one barrel and a suitcase. Well, I'm responding to what she wants.
No, Lady Crystal, the reason why I was saying that, just to give persons, because as you know, we are very real and we are very transparent.
Please, yes.
The wrong impression, like, hey, this does not come with its own struggles, with its own thing. And so it would be remiss of us to just jump from dating to marriage and not know the nitty-gritty of how we got to where we got to. So we pretty much got, I wouldn't say secretly engaged, but we somewhat got promise rings to say, all right, then, we are promised to each other, we're going to get together. However, based on church organizational belief, he being in Bible college, they would not permit him to get married.
Yeah.
So if he desired to marry me, even though I'm a past student, one, he would have to
get a job.
Get not only a job, but
get permission.
He would have to get permission from the Bible college. Then he would have to wait, and he would have to wait if they don't say yes. He would have to wait final year, so that means he would have 2 more years to go. And 3, he would have to do internship before he could get married. So we would have to literally wait 4 years in order to get married. That's how long.
Just your reference, you guys were about what age at this time in Bible school when you started dating?
No, I graduated from Bible school. So we were 22.
22 years old.
Okay, I just kind of have an idea of the.
Yeah, so we were 22, and so so we were. So considering this, because mark you, I graduated from the Bible school, so I was aware of the rules that they had. And so over time, we realized that, we felt more connected than anything. So whenever we're apart, we feel like something was missing. And so we realized that church now start talk because what? Brother Musa and Chanieka spend more time. And it's not like now when church is so liberal, but in a them time, even if you walk on the same side of the road and look like you step on the same wavelength, there, or you're together. I forgot that you have international, personnel. So when we started getting closer together, we realized now. So for my birthday, Hon put something together, and we were at Devon house, so he bought me a cake, he bought me a watch, he gave me my first birthday party, so to speak. But then it was getting down to the evening, and it was a Friday, and we went around by some of his friends' house that was married, and they were living in Kingston, so we were staying there. So it eventually turned out into a birthday party. He said to me that, tomorrow morning, he's gonna go to the New Testament church at a prayer meeting that he normally goes to. He would want me to come, but he knows that I had work and I was tired, so he didn't want to pressure me. But while Saturday morning came, he went to the prayer meeting, but he called me and he said, listen, I feel like God wants you to be there. So I said, all right, cool. We left. I went out by the church. Nobody knew me. It was my first time going to the church. Nobody knew me. I was sitting at the back. Nobody knew that I was with Brother Laing. Nobody knew, right? And so they were praying. He was at the altar praying, and then that prayer theme finished. So he got up, and then they put up another prayer theme, which was to pray for missionaries on the mission field. And we was in a circle, and they asked for 2 proxies. Me and him went into the circle, and then they started praying, and then they started praying about us, and saying that we are a full circle and we are not joined physically but spiritually to accomplish the work of God here on earth for the kingdom of God to come. And one of the instructions that we had gotten was to get married quickly. Now, remember I told you about the background of what we have to contend with and what to get married quickly. No, God, that now made no sense. No, we were taught that God is not the author of confusion. So God, something in a line up, somebody tell a lie somewhere along the line. And, we left with that. We had our own confirmation, separate and apart, before this confirmation of God, because we were still questioning our confirmation, saying that wonder if it is from our own heart and the fact that we like each other. But no, God was saying this, and he confirmed what we both knew already. And so, over time, he was busy at Bible college counseling everybody, being everybody's friend. So Chris, by the time him fit talk to me at night time, I fall asleep on the phone. Now, one young man at my workplace started liking me. So, said no. One day I was having the most horrible day, trying to call him, not getting him. And me forget about confirmation, me forget about what God said, me forget because him their Bible college, him not pay me no mind. Now there is somebody who is paying me attention. And one of my love language is quality time. So, him a pay me attention. So now we started dating, so to speak. Him gone on the back burner, can't bother with him. But the thing about it, I was always transparent with him because first and foremost, we're friends. So we always had that friendship. And when he came up for holiday in the December, I said to him, God, if this is how Musa is gonna continue can't be together. It now gonna make no sense because in your word, a family come first, and based on where he's at, family now work out here. So and so we met and we spoke, and I told him that, hey, a young man like me, and I feel like I'm liking him back because you're not spending time with me. And he was very understanding, you know. And so after one weekend, I had a wedding, and he came down. By this time, I was living with my sister, so I wasn't living on my own. He came down, and I came. He was supposed to go back up the day, but it was late, so he stayed by me and my sister's house. And the next morning, my sister left us at the house together. So we did there play, I do devotion, and I play and I ramp, and then foot start, touch foot, and kissing start, and all of this start. And then, you know, big people things happen, right? That was in the December. In January, we were coming from watch night service, and I was saying, maybe we just secretly married. And you know, we were having a conversation of just joking together. I said, you know, maybe we just secretly married and just call it a day, because to constantly be waiting until you, I don't think we will be able to do that. And Crystal, let me tell you what happened. About 7 days after that, I realized that I was not feeling well in my body. Mark you, I tell God, say, listen, I'm going to go with the other young man. About 7 days, I was not feeling well in my body. And then I found out that I was pregnant. I called Hon, and we don't believe in abortion. So him getting a film side of what happened.
Yeah, she called me and tell me, and I died. I died for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds. I was not responding to anything. I got sick immediately after, because the church had a plan. They planned my life, literally. They had a church. They had a wife for me to marry after I finished Bible school, which church I was going to pastor. My mother was a deaconess in the church. So all I'm just seeing is that, you know, Musa was being kind of known in the Dinam at the time. I'm preaching and people knowing me and my name getting out there, and then this happened. So like, yeah, my life crashed right here. So that was it for me. And
we didn't hide it from the leaders.
We decided we're not going to hide it. My wife, she was in the doctor's office, and she told me she could have done the abortion then and there, right there. We decided we're not doing it. We're not going to hide it. We're going to tell it. So I told my pastor. It didn't turn out good.
Didn't go well.
Yeah, my pastor had said to me, "Sure, say yours." And I tell person in my head, I killed my pastor about 50 times when she said that to me. I just found myself taking the chain and beat her just many times until she dead. And my mother did not talk to me for a while. My father was disappointed, but he was still talking to me. Church, a lot of people cut us off. Church
threw us out pretty much.
Yeah,
church pretty much threw us out, and we got married on the 28th. And
January.
When we were moving, we never had anything. Nothing at all. So, you know, we had some pots that you could have turned off the light and see the candle in it. We had some small breakfast plates.
We borrowed spark
and spoon, and that was it. So Pastor Laing, go ahead.
So down there I got a job.
So that just to fill in the gap.
So I got a job, and wasn't a good job, but I had a job, working and everything. And 2 months I was living in Portmore, so the traffic is very heavy getting to Kingston in the morning, and like all of the doctorman conductors from the buses in Portmore should know me by now, because I used to stand on the steps in the morning just to get to work. And I remember I got to work 15 minutes late, and my boss decided he's not letting me in on the compound. I used to get there early every morning, leave late, extra time, and don't pay me for it. And he decided he's not letting me in. I was working in Crossroads. The New Testament church that I normally go to is in Arfetry area, Eastwood Park Road, New Testament church. And I decided, hey, I'm not going home because there's nothing to do. I'm just going to walk. And I walked from Crossroad. I think I took a bus to Arfetry and walked from Arfetry to the church. And while I'm in the church, just worshiping the Lord, we're praying. And I'm on the floor praying, and the Lord said to me, leave the 9 to 5 and go and do what I've called you to do. And I'm like, no, God. And I'm sure this was God talking, that I know I cannot do it. And I gave God every reason why. I just got married, but my family going to think about what my wife family going to think about me. I'm the man I should be providing. I grew up in a house and my father worked like a mule. I need to do that. And I fight God, but I lose. I came home and I told my wife, expecting that she was going to disagree with me, what the Lord was saying. And she said, no, do what God is saying. Do what God is saying. I didn't go right ahead. I rebelled. It got very bad. My rebellion, like all hell was break loose in my life. I remember my boss didn't pay us the right amount of money, and I wanted the money to go to Gibson Relays. And then the day when I went home disappointed and was watching my television, it was my boss I saw in the stand cheering. And he drove a brand new Prado to work the Monday morning. And I said, Friday come, I'm going to kill him. I told myself I'm going to kill him because we were owing the landlord. So much things negative was happening. And, the Lord spoke to me there and said, look at you, the murderer. And, I broke down and cried, repented, and I left the job. It was hard. It was really hard. I was called a house band. They told my wife she was on food pretty much. She a minor man. It was hard. I remember it took me 5 minutes to walk my wife to the bus stop in the morning to go to work. It took me an hour and a half to get back to the house. And because I'm so depressed, and when I get back in the house, I lock up very quiet because we share the house with somebody. I don't want them to know that I'm not working. Hide in the house, and I pray and cry and pray and cry and pray and cry. That's all I did. Pray, cry, read the Bible. One other thing yesterday, what you asked yesterday, I found a clipping and I had to share it yesterday. A gentleman was saying that, now he's achieving. He has to celebrate with his wife because when he had nothing, she was there. One of the challenges that a lot of young ladies miss, as you said earlier, you want a man to spend on you, whatever. But what a woman needs to know, you have a gift to pull out that potential that's within the man, to pull it out. I'm not ashamed to say this. Another day, my wife taught me how to read. My wife helped to build my confidence. I was very low in many things. But this woman in my life, we had nothing, but we had each other and we had God. And that is what mattered. And we worked from there. I remember this is how bad it was, that when we got married, we ate pak chow and rentayam, and green bananas for pretty much almost one full week. The last, I think it was a Friday or a Saturday, we made a sacrifice and bought a tin mackerel. And we spread a sheet on the floor and light 2 candles, and we had candlelight dinner. You thought we were eating steak. We had nothing, but we had each other, and we knew that God had something great in store. So what I would say to a woman that's out there, look beyond the man's pocketbook. Look beyond what he drives. Look beyond how he dress. And mark you, I don't think I look as ugly as they was talking, but I could have dressed for fly. I tell you that. I was not that attractive to read. When I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God, that's something I used to wear. But the truth is that, see, and I remember my wife said one thing to me, because I was asking her, even she was talking about the guy, the man drive an Audi, nice Audi. Me never have nothing, not even, walk and I guarantee my boot heel was not straight, it didn't lean and stone was in it. And I was asking her, why you choose to be with me still? You can be this guy. And I remember she said to me, one of the things, I'm not marrying you for where you are, but where God is taking you. Because the Lord would have given her an idea of where I'm going, who I'm going to be today. Marry for purpose. Go after purpose. I remember even when
not personal agenda.
My wife was working, and I was just doing ministry. And I remember at one point in the ministry the other day, the Lord was just blessing me, like blessing me. I was not asking anybody for money. and nobody can. I've never gone to a church and tell them you have to pay me X amount to preach. I've never done that. And I mean, God was just blessing me. I remember my wife was saying, "Me don't understand how me get every morning I go work and you are coming with more money." I said, "Oh, me don't know are the people in this I give me the money." This is just like that. I don't ask for it. But whatever I do, they are blessed by it. And they decide they want to be a blessing back in my life. So listen,
Yeah.
married for purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chanieka, just briefly, just for you, because he shared, how depressing it was for him, and really had to try to focus on the Lord, to see a bigger vision for himself and to trust God for provision. But you as a woman, what was going through your mind? But also, I mean, it's easy to say, well, it's not easy, but we can say married for purpose. But then tell us what was going on in your mind that you were willing to, just kind of bank on things will get better with this man, and that he's just not lazy and don't want to work, kind of thing.
Two things. One, when we got married, we, as you said, we weren't having anything much, but I understood that from earlier on that a marriage can either make you or break you. And with that understanding, I also understood that I was working with a team. So my husband and I was a team, and even when a teammate get injured, just kick him off. Just say, all right, then. I might not have understood the process that he was going through, but I understood that this was God doing differently. By this time, we had lost a child. We had miscarried the child, and so we were in a transitional period. We were now at the church that he now pastors. So, it was in a transitional period. But at the end of the day, for me, I just look at it as taking care of my best friend while he is out, and knowing that this too shall pass. I did not see him as my enemy. I did not see him as worthless. My view of him did not change, so to speak. So that was pretty much it. When I was taking care of him, I was taking care of an extension of me.
Yeah, wow, that's powerful, and you're right. I mean, you would have seen this man's character before, even during the hardest seasons of your life. He's praying you through and not judging you, and even how he's willing to forsake all the I'm promised to get this church, I'm promised, but stick by you in a hard season. So I hope somebody that's listening is saying, if you're single and listening to their story, and it's entertaining and all, but I want you to pause if you're listening as a single woman, to realize that even in this conversation, you could hear God in and through him as a person, and this is what would have made a difference. God makes a difference. So that we want to be like, we can have all the money in the world, but the truth is God is who made the difference. And this man was not just pretending to be a man of God, but you would have seen him over the seasons, navigating that character of Christ. So I really want somebody to hear that in their story. So I'm going to ask 5 questions in 5 minutes. So you want to, right? Some questions that were sent to me, for couple-ups, right? So we're going to start. The first question is, what are some of the topics or conversation do you think that couples should be having, while they're dating, or while they're courting? Anything comes to mind? And I know you're a pastor. You're pastors too, and I know pastor do marriage, premarital counseling and stuff. So I'm sure, yeah.
One of the question that they should ask, I think that person's neglect from time to time is that you should ask, check about person background. It's very important that you do that. Do a background, check on the person's upbringing, and also see how their upbringing would have impacted their life. Because one of the things I always tell person, before you get into marriage, it's better you heal before you get into marriage. Healing is necessary. Not everything you will be healed from, because we can say as a couple for 9 years now, that there's still some stuff we're healing from that we'd have experienced before marriage. But have an idea, what is it like? Find out the family background, upbringing. It's important that you know the stuff that you can say to trigger the individual to get a certain place. My wife had gone through some challenges with her stepfather, and so I had to, when I know that there are certain things that she was still being healed from, that I can't say certain things, I do certain things away, I would bring her back to that place that she's getting healed from. So find out the person's background, find out how they deal with issues. You need conflict resolution. Find out how to deal with conflict resolution. You need to know that is something that is for certain, and find out what are their plans for the future. What are their plans for the future? It's very, very important. You know that, because you and the partner, the person they say proclaim you love so much, might be on two different roads, and if you're on separate roads, it's not going to work out at all.
Yeah. All right, next question. Any of you can take the question. Are there currently boundaries in marriage, especially both of you are in ministry? What does those boundaries look like as a couple, but also as parents?
For boundaries in ministry, I have to understand that there are, both of us have to understand that there are things that we can't discuss about other persons. So we have to respect that about each other. Confide in us. So when persons confide in us, we have to say, hey, all right, then is it okay if we have this discussion with Pastor Laing, or is it okay to have this discussion with Auntie Shan? Because person will always assume, because we're so close, that whatever they tell Pastor, I will eventually know, and that's not the case. That's not the case. So because they will come to me and say, but I thought Pastor would have told you. We're not like that. We honor confidentiality. There is a difference, however, and there are times when we will bounce idea off each other without name references, but just to get another pastoral view. But outside of that, no, those are the boundaries.
What about the boundaries in marriage? I mean, come on, right now, Musa Laing, when compared to when you met him, this, he never dressed good and he never has handsome, but now is, Pastor Musa Laing. So how do you I
make it very publicly on the church platform. This is my woman, and you can't pass it. Anybody who I speak to, I tell them this for two things. Even if I'm helping somebody, two things I tell them: that if you mess with my relationship with God and my family, we're not going to go there. We try. We don't get it all the time, but we set a time limit that nobody on the outside has to talk to us behind certain borders, because we have to make time at the nights. We don't get it perfectly all the time, but I think for the best of it, we're doing quite fair enough.
And in boundaries as marriage, in becoming one, we share bank accounts. I know that's a touchy topic for a lot of people, but we do.
Which you're answering my next question, so thank you.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit.
Why do we share bank account? Because I trust the God in Him.
Yeah, it's not our money.
It's not our money.
It's not her money and
yeah, it's our money. And so it comes back to a level of accountability. And the fact that each of us have, as much as we are married, Lady Crystal, each of us have a personal relationship with the Lord. And that is our guidebook, or our standard by which we live and interact with each other. So if we're honest with the Lord, we will be honest with our spouse.
Yeah, and we give access, so she have my password, so my phone
password.
So you don't have separate accounts and then
No. It's just that, like, when we're going to spend, we know what we're spending on,
Now we have a discussion.
Yeah.
We have a discussion.
Okay.
The only extra spending that we do sometimes, we don't not telling each other, so we kind of try and surprise each other on the road,
Yeah. All right. So for some singles, right, it feels like it's hard to find someone in Christ right now. I mean, book a Bible school, kudos to you all, but some of us are here just like, hey, God, so we're not just talking about the numbers of Christian men to Christian women, but just overall. So what do you think? Like, how do you wanna really be able to discern? Because you would have hear a lot of stories of women even marrying men that say them are Christian and then them end up on, abuse them or cheat on them or etc. So like, how do you think that we can really be able to discern, oh, this is truly a man of God? Or, I mean, can people also change eventually? What are your thoughts?
It goes back to what I said, purpose. First and foremost, I said for the single persons out there with your list, let God evaluate your list. And the truth is, sometimes what we want is not what God's plan is for our lives. Let God evaluate your list. She wanted a bow-legged man. I am a 2B pencil, tall and lanky. Right? Let God evaluate your list. Sometimes that's why we overlook even those who God have sent our way, because they don't match our requirements. But you need to ask yourself the question: the requirements you have, what are your motives behind it? Are your motives honoring God, or is it just what you want to satisfy yourself?
Create security for yourself.
Create security for yourself. That's something you have to pay attention to. Sorry for some background noise. They're working downstairs, so the drilling is happening. But also, people change. That one thing a person needs to know, and lady, I had to address this the other day. The Lord released me to speak about it. Christians have issues too. Christians have anger issues. Christian cuss too. Some Christians they lie too. They are people that are being changed. They are real people. They have real issues. The thing about it, as I go back to say earlier, is that get to know the person first, jump and get married to them. And because person like, oh, they look cute together, no. Make sure you know this is what God is saying. And are you willing to stand with me and work through the issues? So you're going to take this ring on your finger. Are you willing to stand with me and work through these issues till I become that individual? So check your list.
And one other thing is, Crystal, that man in the church, people say man in a church short, but man in the kingdom is not short. And the thing is, the word of God says, for I know the plans that I have towards you, and that plan includes a husband for most persons, right? But at the same time, I remember a friend of mine said, me forgot to go look my man and carry me, because no man at the end of the church. She's in a backslidden state now, just to say the least. And I told her, listen, if my man there Timbuktu, God gonna send him. Once it's in his design for me to get married, God is gonna send him. And so I realized that sometimes we run ahead of God because we awaken love too early. We awaken love before it's time, as King Solomon says in Songs of Solomon, do not awaken love before it's time. Some of us have awakened love, and because of this, sometimes we draw some things to us that is not designed for us. It was not God in God's blueprint for us. And so what we have to do is be honest, be real with God, and ask him for his grace. The Bible says that nowadays, the scriptures that we normally quote is, it's better to marry than to burn. Well, the other day we found out that scripture, and the scripture said, if you lack self-control, it is better to marry than to burn. And self-control is one of the fruit within the fruits of the spirit. And so we have to understand that at the end of the day, we have to trust God's plans for our life.
Just let me say this in 10 seconds. Don't marry for status. And that's one of the things that Christian women sometimes have, because they want to marry man of God. They want to marry the man with the title, first lady status, the big position. That's what they want. They want to be seen. And I tell somebody as well, as my wife talked about self-control, marriage don't fix a sexual problem. And people have to know that. And that's one of the things the church force. You married to fix sex, but self-control you need. Because I can tell you, my wife would have gone to fight before, and me have feelings that she never there, and other woman about we could have sleep with. But I made sure I had that. The other days I would have done stuff to upset my wife, and other men out there don't want to give her comfort. She could have gone into comfort. But we make sure that the standard has to be God. And so
and it's I appreciate where you went with the self-control conversation, and that, you know, that marriage don't cure sex, because you're right. You know, for many of us that are feeling, you know, like, oh, you know, want to have sex, you're right. Evil, who says in marriage, as you said, you know, probably won't have to part for a few months or something, and how would you deal with those urges then? You understand? Am I going to look for another outlet, right? Or if you're struggling with whatever, pornography, masturbation, promiscuity, if you're cheating on God right now, if you can't be pure to honor God right now, why you think you're going to be pure to honor a man? Like a man that will do, you know? So you're so right about that. What would you say, did you have any expectations of what marriage should have looked like? And did are these expectations met now that you're married 9 years, or what have you learned so far?
Marriage is work.
W-O-R-K.
It is enjoyable, but it is work. You get what you put in. That is one. Expectation, the fact that I was always real. We were always real with each other because we had a friendship. So there was no, when you're a friend, you're brethren. Yeah, everything, you know, there is no facade that was put on. So we had that friendship, and up until now, we still have that friendship. But many persons is not blessed with that. So let me kind of say this. When it comes on to expectation in marriage, just like how we have a vision board for practically everything else except our marriage, I think we should have a vision board for our marriage, so to speak. Because my vision, Lady Crystal, no matter how much my husband gets on my nerves, no matter how he shows me the human side of him, I as a wife have to cover him. And a lot of my husband always said, people say they anointed Musa, but they don't know that it's my wife that allows me to be the man that people see. And so, you know, when at the end of the day, my mandate as a wife is to help him to be that man that God has called him to be. That's my mandate. So at the end of the day, no matter what the distractions may come, I always come back to that vision, which is to help him and propel him to do his kingdom purpose here on earth. So even when it hurts my flesh, even when I feel like I can't bother with this, my head, I get hot, my all emotions are getting up, meaning my insecurities, my off days, I still have to come back to that vision and say, hey, my mandate is to help this man of God to be the man that God has called him to be.
And I will simply go back to what I said earlier. You know, evaluate your expectations. Evaluate them, because sometimes our expectations are very selfish. It's one-sided, you know, and if the man is not meeting that, you know, if the woman is not meeting that, no problem. I think it should be balanced. Come back to vision, as my wife said earlier. Have that talk. Where are we going? How are we going to get this accomplished? And you also have to be open to know that you not get it right away. And some things you might get right away. But if you are a team working together, eventually you become better at what you're doing. I had to relearn a lot of stuff. And I'm still relearning some stuff as well right now at this current moment speaking to you. So, you know, evaluate your expectations.
Yeah.
Is it selfish? Is it honorable to God? Are you doing any good to your partner? Or is it just self-centered? Yeah.
And then one other thing as well is when you're batting as a team, there is no place of competition.
Yeah.
There's no place of competition. You just know that, hey, we are heading towards the same goal. So you might run that corner, and just like a relay, there are some persons who run corner better and some who run the straight better.
Yeah, she spends the money better than me. Yeah, I give her the money. I don't give. Me just take it and give her. And it's not I'm a bad spender, but me just not do good with the money thing. Just give to her.
Yeah. All right. So as we're wrapping up, but again, I want just for a minute or two, just looking at singles before I ask you for marriage advice for the married persons listening. For singles, if you are, you know, probably courting or dating somebody, at what point do you like, is there a time limit, or, you know, we have to wait until we know each other 3 years, 4 years before we should get married? You know, what are your thoughts on that in terms of singles? And then also, you know, just any advice, any advice specifically for single women in this season, you know, based on, not that, you know, I mean, mostly women listen to the podcast, but, you know, just I feel like men, especially men of God, why, even if they're, you know, desiring marriage, I feel like they are a little bit more composed with their desires than women that feel like, you know, we just want to go out, go find a husband because we need to have children, you know, clock is ticking, all our friends are married, and, you know, we need, so, you know, any advice regarding that too?
Advice to single women or persons who are dating and looking to get married. As long as both of you can complement each other's vision for your life, and the vision feed into each other to accomplish one purpose, run with it. Run with it. Once there is peace, and the person push you closer to the Lord, run with it. Sometimes we normally talk about confirmation, but what is confirmation? Confirmation is just knowing that this is what God is saying. Confirmation is just knowing that this is what God is saying. And once you know that this is what God is saying, you know, you should be at peace, because He gives you the peace that passes all understanding. That does not mean that there won't be external trouble, but there will be internal peace. So for single women, what I can say is, build you, be healed before you bleed over something that can be your greatest blessing.
I would say, you know, get an understanding of what marriage is about, and ask yourself, am I ready for this? You know, and am I mature enough to handle this? It's something that I need to learn. Many persons say, yeah, I'm ready for marriage and thing, but it's more than a ring. It's more than a title. It is work, and it can be a very enjoyable work, but it's work. You know, and nevertheless, but my wife said I agree with single ladies out there. Work on you. Work on you. Stop go hunt the man. When the man come find you, that's what the Bible says. The man finds you. And I tell a lot of I was telling the other day, it's not a little joke. I say, you want married and still about water. You know, you want married and you still a gossip every day. You're gonna have to understand that you're married. So prepare yourself. You know, I think I heard somebody said the other day, and I was preaching at 11, wife up, you know, start behaving like that. Don't expect that the man, I think the scripture says the man finds. It's not looking for a girl. You want somebody to know that, you know, this is my future partner, somebody I can build my future with.
Yeah, and finally, give us some advice for married couples that are listening. I don't know, you know, just whatever advice that you would give married anybody that's currently married. Probably they are going through a challenging season. You know, or just, you know, dealing with the pandemic and children being on, you know, school being online. I mean, any encouragement for married people that's listening.
Remember why you got married, and nobody gets married to be divorced. You know, remember why you get married, and remember you're a team. You know, the truth is you may not get it perfect, but you are a team. You have to remember that. And one of the things I can say personally about me, what I had to learn, that, you know, I'm not the only one standing. And my wife is actually standing with me. We can relate to everything you just asked, because we are experiencing it. We have 2 little kids, well, 3 kids, but 2 of them doing school. You know, ministry we have time for each other. We're learning, you know, be open. And one of the things I'm learning, even though it hurts, you know, be open to be corrected. Be open to hear where you're not getting it right. And we're not getting it right, work on it. You know, you and your partner, don't do it on a one-off. Work together to get it better. never ever, and this is not just me being pastor or super spiritual, but if you ever move God from out of it, you're in problem. You're going to be in problem. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you think you have. If you move God from the center of the mind, you are going to be in serious trouble. Keep him there, that he can keep your conscience awakened to the things that you say and you do. What I'll say, never leave out family time. Never leave it out. It's important. Seek to get balance. Push to get balance. Push to get balance. This is very important. Yeah.
All right. So as we close, I really want to thank you both for coming on and just, sharing on us for this couple up. I feel like there's just so much that we have to unpack even in your personal stories together. We could have gone into how did you guys deal with a miscarriage, how do you navigate ministry, because we never even touch on ministry itself yet.
How do you embrace sexuality? That's
we're not touch on, but as I said to you guys before we started, like we try to get these interviews within an hour, and we always end up far more over the hour, because like these are just sometimes conversations we just don't hear. Like we don't hear, and I appreciate you being honest. Like I'm so like, even when you guys went back to share they how ministry, how things started, even being kicked out of the church, like you could have left that part of the story out. And I'm so appreciative of you sharing this, because I do feel like, in our Christian walk, there are seasons where we fall. No matter how we love Jesus, as you said, Pastor Laing, we are learning to love Jesus. We don't love him. We are learning to love him every single day. And because we are learning to love him, daily, even though we are running after him, we fall. And what is it that we are going to do when we fall? Are we going to just call it a day, call it a quits, make a turn back, or, that's it for me? No, we're going to keep pushing forward in Christ, knowing that, he's with us. And yeah, I'm just truly blessed by this interview. I mean, I know the story, but it still feels new to me, because I'm still processing all the revelation that God can give me through your testimony. And I pray that somebody that's listening, we'll definitely check out the Virtuous Kingdom Woman on a Wednesday night with Minister Chanieka Laing. Also, if you do feel like, I want to, talk to Pastor, he's definitely available, so you can reach out to him on Facebook, or I'll leave my email address that you can reach out to him as a pastoral and get just some pastoral counseling, and knowing that he's going to try his best not to share his feelings, but be led by God in his approach. So thank you guys very much again for coming on, and I'm looking forward to the one-on-one where we can dig deeper, to unpack what the Lord is doing in and through you. So God bless you. Guys, listen, I want you to leave a review on YouTube and on iTunes. All right, so leave a review of the podcast, of the couple up. And guys, if you have questions that you want me to ask, other couples, please send me an email, drop me a WhatsApp, send me a message, because we have couple up coming up again. So I don't want to always come up with the questions, right? Ask the questions so we can ask, because couple up again, so many of my friends would have said, I don't know a lot of Christian couple. I don't hear from married people in a church. Everybody just married and just business about themselves, But they save, but this is why we have couple up, right? I brought couple up so that you can hear from Christian kingdom couples who are trying their best to honor God in their marriage and in their lives. So don't hesitate to share your questions, leave a review, and we will see you next week again for another episode of the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast. God bless you.
Diary of a Jesus Girl. Jesus Girl. Hey, it's the Diary of a Jesus Girl.